if you listen to their demands, they're telling you what's coming. See, when you hear things like this, you realize there's a big push coming. And where's it coming from? Remember what I told you? I told you it's going to come from the small, medium-sized businesses, small, medium-sized enterprises. They know what they want. They know the time is here for them to finally make profit like they've never made before. See, here's what happened. While the regular people were, getting conditioned against crypto a long time ago, the bloody bear market, you know how all this stuff went, right? The small and medium-sized businesses were doing their research, and they were saying to themselves, wait a minute, I can do business globally. One, wait a minute, I can have everything fully automated. Two, wait a minute, I can do this for cheap. Here's where we win. Wait. See, the legacy system is going to heap a lot of fees on top of their offerings, and their electronic offerings are absolutely horrible. But the fintechs, the DLT companies, can offer things for a very, very low price. This is why it's good to have a multitude of offerings. There's more than enough money to go around. The utility coin companies who are going to be combining with AI and in the future quantum computing, robotics is going to be in there. Listen, there's a lot of people, robotics, Mick. Yeah, robotics is in there. I've already showed people before. This was like a year ago. I showed people the port that's fully automated. Then you have the protests going on. Not protests. What do they call that? You had strikes going on recently because they don't want full automation on the East Coast. Well, I don't know full automation. They don't want partial automation. So you had that, not protest. What do you call that? Strike. Sorry about that. The strike going on with the longshoremen, etc. That's because robotics is here. Automation is here. That is going to happen in combination with AI, not basic programs, right? So anyway, DLT is coming together with all of that, obviously. You've heard the pros talk about it. The SMBs and the SMEs know that. That's why right now, you think it's a mistake that in the last week or two, you've heard all these demands from the businesses like this one. This article is titled, Retailers Resolve to Even Up Online and In-Store Experiences. Retailers resolve to even up online and in-store experiences in 2025. Why 2025? Why wasn't it in 2024? Why wasn't it in 2023? You don't see how everything is coinciding? They're telling the people, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, Why 2025? Because 2025 is when crypto utility can be unleashed. Well, let me say DLT. DLT can be unleashed so they can utilize smart contracts. They can have wallets, right, that connect to their website, which now can be global because they can move capital value instantly around the world like this with what? DLT. And they could do it without intermediaries. You think they don't know that? Oh, they definitely know. They definitely know. That's why behind the scenes, Ripple was taking so many meetings and Chainlink was taking so many meetings, Solana, Stellar. That wasn't for nothing. Now, listen, they all have to execute in the end. The small businesses have to act when it's time to act. And the DLT companies have to deliver. All of that has to still come together. But the conditions are set. So they know that. They want smart contracts. They want all that stuff. They want to do business globally. Here's another thing that people are not taking into account. All right. Any small business, SMB, SME has to do business globally, has to, at some point, begin to make prices more reasonable. They have to. I'm not talking about like food sellers, etc., restaurants. No. But if you're selling clothing or something like that, you're going to have more reasonable prices in the future to compete. Why do I say that? And you're going to have a global access to a global audience, global customers. Why do I say that? Because they're going to have to compete with increasing companies that are like Temu, whatever that's called, Shein, all these companies. Remember, and you know how I learned about these companies? I was reading, if you remember that paper, that document, it's like an article maybe, This was like maybe a year and a half ago or something when all of those kind of companies were hot. They were going direct to customer, right? They're supposed to be like wholesale, right? And they were going direct to customer. That shook things up because more companies are coming. They're going to be like that. So they're cutting costs very low. So you're selling that whatever article of clothing for $20 and they can sell it for 10. So how do you compete with that? They're going to have to compete. They want to compete. They know they can compete because here's the thing. Even if they brought their prices down a little bit, because now they can save money. They can save a lot of capital using DLT technology in combination with AI, etc. They know it. So they can save a lot of money. That's more money. So now you can bring down the price a little bit because once the people get a taste of that quality, if you have high quality merch, once the people get a taste of that quality, the business is going to come flooding in. People like a reasonable price. It don't have to be too low because they don't want it to be cheap. They like a reasonable price with good quality product. So the SMBs, at least in the USA, the SMEs are looking at that as a prime opportunity. It specifically says 2025. Why? I'm asking you why. People don't see what's coming. They know. Everybody else knows. All the businesses know. The golden age is coming of crypto. DLT. They know. They're drooling at the opportunity. It says, while holiday spending may have filled merchants' coffers, was there a lot of holiday spending? It probably was, right? It says the challenge will, I like to see the numbers first. So I'll wait for that to come out. The challenge will be to keep consumer momentum going at the registers, particularly at brick and mortar stores. That's what I'm talking about. You see, that's another reason why we will dominate tokenization. The very, very cheap ability to tokenize something, RWA, phygital. And remember they had all these words for it. We're doing phygital, physical items attached to a digital offering, sell it as a tokenized product. And then once the people buy that particular thing tokenized, then you ship them the physical thing. All this can happen dirt cheap. Well, it depends on who you go to, of course, but at the base layer, things can happen very cheaply. It depends on how you go about it, of course. Hopefully I didn't repeat myself right there. But this is huge. That's why I'm trying to get all these thoughts together. It's such a big conglomeration that we're looking at. But if you look into this, you're going to see this, right? So wait, we have that there. Then we go here. I'm showing you. I'm trying to walk you down this path. I'm showing, just look, read these articles. Another article, it goes right along with all of these things we've been reading. 45% of U.S. online merchants want one-click checkout solutions. It says one-click checkout solutions outpace the second most requested checkout and payment technology secure card on file. What did they say about security before? We read a bevy of documents it was within the last 3 months where they're talking about bolstering security with DLT. And these are the big dogs talking about this, right? But let's keep going. Secure card on file with 27% of U.S. online merchants have asked their PSPs to implement according to the report. Listen, so they want one-click checkout, right? Here's another thing. They want full automation. Now, when you think of online merchants, there's no way that right now you should think of anything other when you think about the future of online merchants, anything other than full automation. How do you get full automation with one-click checkout solutions? Global full automation with security. You can only do that, look, all of that together, fully. You can only do that with DLT technology in combination with AI. You have security. You have something going 24/7, checking all the systems, adjusting prices. AI can look at all the prices, adjust it accordingly if need be to make sure you're competing. Instead of having those static prices, you got to come back and do it manually every once in a while, or the slow old way of so-called partial automation, right? It's not looking globally. It's always segmented. It's always compartmentalized. No, with AI, it doesn't have to be that way. It can look at everything globally. It can see what's selling, what's not selling. It can bring in a new product if you program it that way. put that in your digital store. Remember, with full automation, someone else is going to be boxing up the product. They're going to be producing it. You just have to have it on your online store. They can ship it right from that warehouse or that production center. AI does that with DLT. DLT makes sure that you have smart contracts. Smart contracts going to bring in all the extra money. Who's at the forefront of smart contracts? Who's the most trusted when it comes to moving value? You got to think about these things. Those are the companies that are going to be at the forefront. So you're going to have your Ripples in the game. What they do with it is up to them. They're in the game. Solana's in the game. Chainlink's in the game. Quant is going to be in the game. Algorand, Stellar, they're going to be in the game. We shall see. We'll see. Not financial advice. This is where my mind is going. But you don't get full automation. You don't get this one-click checkout solution. You don't get global reach without the new financial system. I'm telling you. So, I mean, there's so much here. The smart contracts, the AI implementation. Once again, another reason why Ripple's going heavy into AI. You have to make sure. So now we had an article recently that fits right in with this that was talking about the whole pay over time thing. I forgot how they phrased that, but it's pretty much layaway. You enforce that and implement that with AI and smart contracts. You know, if this person wants to pay for this many months, then it makes sure that it takes the payments out automatically. I mean, listen, we're in position for so many huge things right now. It's unbelievable. But now let's go here to another article, okay? Let's go here. We have this one here. I'm not sure what this article is about. Let's see. So then we have this article here. Bitcoin drops to $92,000 as long-term holders keep taking profit. Wait a minute. It was about 2 months ago. And we were covering a bevy of articles, a bunch of articles that were talking about how long-term holders were selling. And we kept following that. We kept following that news. And I said, I think this is going to continue, right? As it seems like long-term holder. And remember, I was saying how it seemed like long-term holders were allowing the companies to take over. Because as they were selling, that was at the beginning of when the big companies really started to go super hard with buying Bitcoin a couple months back. And as we can see now, it has continued, right? That's why you got to be careful about the people like, wow, you hold Bitcoin. Make sure you hold some Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, but are you selling? You're telling me to hold Bitcoin, but a lot of people are selling. How do I know you're not selling as I'm buying? I'm buying, you're selling. I'm holding, you're selling. Like, come on now. I don't want to put myself in a position where somebody's setting me up. You know what I mean? This is why I feel like everybody should make their own decisions. 100%. Why would you not want to make your own decision? I don't understand that. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm just different. To each his own, no disrespect. But this has obviously continued, right? It says macroeconomic concerns and rampant profit taking are weighing on the crypto market as the year comes to an end. Once again, also, I always keep in mind, people, they're spending money on big items right now, big money items. You see all these young folks, I'm talking about like 20 to 30. You see these young folks and they're just all of a sudden out of nowhere, they're buying a Lambo or two. You see them riding down the street. I can't remember what that car is called. What is that car called? It's a very fast car, very popular. At one time, it was the fastest car in the world. I can't remember what it's called. My apologies. But they're riding around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Where do you think that money came from? Either they liquidated probably some Bitcoin themselves, or someone liquidated and bought that for them as a gift. A lot of times it's their parents, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents and stuff like that. People have been into Bitcoin for a long time. Out there in the world, we're seeing a lot of big money purchases happening. People are buying houses and posting, I bought a house here for, my auntie. I bought a house for my mother. They're liquidating crypto. A lot of them. Where do you think this money is going? It's just not just going poof and disappearing. No. So a lot of that is happening right now. It's not to say they won't come back later. I don't think it's needed for them to come back later. You want to be honest? I really don't. But I do believe they're going to come back because there's going to be a lot of money to be made with Bitcoin. I think they know that. Just my humble opinion, not financial advice. Make your own mind. Make up your own mind. Do what you want. But I think they know they're coming back. That's why they're not worried about selling right now and the price going down. Now, although I did read an article where some of the companies were selling, that's just In my humble opinion, that's just price manipulation. That's not the companies being bearish. That's them manipulating the price, bringing it down a little bit. I said that for months. Then you saw someone else, I think it was Robert Kiyosaki, say the same thing the other day that I've been saying for a long time. Have I not? But the big companies are trying to move their friends into position. When that happens and Bitcoin starts to go back up, people will buy into Bitcoin again, believing that it's going to reach 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, whatever. I think that's a lot of what's going on here. So you just got to watch the dynamics. The dynamics are telling you a story. So yes, long-term holders seeing an opportunity to both live life and then probably come back later and still make some really, really good profit. I mean, listen, these long-term holders are sitting on ridiculous profit. They made a lot of capital with Bitcoin, a lot. And I don't even just say long-term holders, because I don't even consider myself a long-term holder at all. Not in comparison to some people. But when the price went super low in that bloody bear market and scooping some up at that particular time, and working my tail off to do so, by the way, because I knew what Bitcoin would do in the future. In my humble opinion, I knew, and then you see what happened here. And then just look at how low Bitcoin went in the bloody bear market, right? So I know how much those people probably have in Bitcoin, how much they've made. So yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable. How you feel? You think you feel like you support them selling that Bitcoin, long-term holders? Are you upset with them? You know, do you understand? Right? You let me know. If you're willing. But it says Bitcoin has dropped 1.8% in the past 24 hours to $91,800. A price not seen since December 5th, the day it broke through $100,000 for the first time. The largest cryptocurrency has fallen more than 14% from its December 17th record of $108,278. Just looking at that price, you should already know there was a correction coming. Just looking at it, you should know. The energy is there. You know how these things typically go. There's blood in the water. The sharks are all around. The bears are all around. They're ready to feast. They're ready to feast. And this is a money game, folks. All right. Now, so no matter how much these people tell you they're attached to something, they're not that attached to it. At some point, they're going to sell. You understand? It's not like utility coins. It's Bitcoin. You got to play the game. Ether has lost less, falling 0.7% to $3,320, though it's now 17% below its December highs, and still has not surpassed the record of $4,820 it hit in 2021. Solana, oh, sweet Solana. Now, I love Solana. I'll just leave it at that. Is also proving a little stronger than Bitcoin, with the SOL/BTC ratio up 0.35% today. Yes, but here's the thing. And once again, let me reiterate, I love Solana. Here's the thing. Bitcoin, the way it can skyrocket, given all the catalyst, I'm just being honest with you. You may disagree. A lot of people disagree with what I say all the time. I don't have a problem with that. Perfectly fine with that. I'm me and you're you. I'm not expecting you to think like me or me to think like you. The world would be mighty boring then, wouldn't it? Now, just my humble opinion, the way that Bitcoin can skyrocket, you've seen it already. And what you've seen, in my humble opinion, is just a sample. The way it can do it in the future is going to shock the world. You see, people love to disbelieve. They disbelieve that XRP was going to go above $1. They told me Solana was dead. They told me they didn't believe Solana was going to come back. They told me Chainlink was dead. They didn't believe it was going to come back. People love to disbelieve. They love, the pessimism. No disrespect, for lack of a better word. And it's the same with Bitcoin. So they won't believe Bitcoin can go above 200,000. They won't believe it can go above 175,000. So when it does happen, and it might happen meteorically, we'll see. I could be wrong. I'm not a psychic or anything. I don't work for these companies. I am but a researcher. But the way it can happen with Bitcoin, it's going to really, really shock the world, I believe. I do. And then everything else around Bitcoin will explode as well. You have to look at all the catalysts. The big companies, there's still a massive amount of companies that want a piece of Bitcoin. One, you have countries. Let me say this again. You have countries trying to set up Bitcoin reserves. That's not going to stop. The future for Bitcoin, I think, is bigger and bigger. Does it go forever? No, I don't believe that. But what I believe is inconsequential. What reality is and what we believe are two different things. But we shall see. But I don't believe it goes forever. But I think it's going to go pretty far. So there you have it. All right. So now we're going to go here. A little bit of treasury yield news. We haven't covered that in quite some time. I like to keep up with it. Predicting the next move, U.S. 10-year treasury bond yield after 12% price surge. U.S. 10-year treasury bond prices have risen by 12% since December 9th, 2024. It suggests a significant movement in the bond market. The rise in bond prices indicates that yields on these bonds have fallen, which typically happens when demand for U.S. government debt increases. Several factors can contribute to such a price move, such as falling interest rates. If the Federal Reserve has been cutting rates or signaling future cuts, bond prices could rise as investors seek higher yields from existing bonds compared to new bonds with lower rates. Economic uncertainty. Investors might flock to U.S. Treasuries as a safe haven investment, especially if there are concerns about economic slowdown, geopolitical risks. There's a lot of that. We're hearing about the whole economic slowdown thing again. We'll see if that continues. It says, or other uncertainties, inflation expectations. If inflation expectations have fallen, bond prices can rise because inflation erodes the purchasing power of fixed income payments, making bonds more attractive when inflation is low. Profit booking expected. It says, given the bond prices have risen significantly in a short period, profit booking, selling locked in gains, and profit taking is a reasonable expectation at this stage for several reasons. Look how fast they act. And it's insane to me. You see how fast people in the bond markets move, the treasury markets move. But when it comes to Bitcoin, people expect a multitude of people to just hold forever. It just doesn't work that way. Market correction. After a large upward movement in prices, it is common for some investors to sell their holdings, expecting a price correction. This would bring prices down a bit, potentially leading to a more stable price range. What might happen next in the U.S. 10-year bond yield? It says price consolidation. There could be a temporary pause or small pullback in bond prices if profit booking takes place. Profit taking. I don't know why they keep saying profit booking, especially if investors feel the 12% rise is unsustainable in the short term. Interest rate influence. Any signals from the Federal Reserve regarding interest rate policy or economic conditions could drive further price movements if the Fed signals that rate cuts are nearing their end, or if inflation concerns rise, bond prices might fall. And we're going to end off today with a little bit more Bitcoin news. This article is titled Bitcoin to Rocket 10,000%. What? Pantera Capital founder says yes. So we have someone else bullish on Bitcoin. It says Dan Moorhead, the founder and managing director of Pantera Capital, recently shared a bold, to say the least, vision for the future of Bitcoin in a world where 300 million people already use the cryptocurrency. Yeah, but wait a minute. You said that like that's something. Don't they estimate there's billions of people on Earth? You're talking about 300 million? That's nothing. That shows there's a hell of a lot of room to grow, doesn't it? That's bullish in itself. But let's keep going. In a world where 300 million people already use cryptocurrency, he thinks the digital asset story is just beginning. I agree with that. What expert hasn't agreed with that? He thinks the digital asset story is just beginning and the number of users is going to grow a lot. Why does he think that? You do know this man has some of the best advisors on the planet. If you're a big money person and you don't have the best advisors, I don't know what you're doing. By even 5 billion in the next 10 years. So it could increase to 5 billion. That's what he believes. This kind of growth could totally reshape the financial landscape, and Bitcoin, the flagship cryptocurrency, is at the center of this transformation. Moorhead's analysis points to one striking possibility. Bitcoin's market capitalization could hit $15 billion by 2028. That is 10,000% growth, which might seem like a lot, but is actually in line with the past performance. Told you, he has information and data backing him up. Tell me now, Bitcoin is not bullish. Tell it to me. I want to hear it, but I want to hear your reasoning why it's not bullish. Just explain it to me. I'll hear you out. declared Moorhead in an interview with Bankless. I'm so bullish on Bitcoin right now. I'm not saying it's going to be forever. I'm just saying right now. If the catalyst change, then I will adjust. That's how I do. All right. Change is the only constant, so I watch for it. This is not just wishful thinking, as Bitcoin has been doubling in value every year for 11 years. And it has kept going even as critics say it's overvalued. I was just talking about that. I said it in my own way, but I was just talking about that. Moorhead is confident that Bitcoin's steady performance and its role in the bigger picture of tech and economic change are what's driving it. We're still early. Another person telling you we're early. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.